so my lips don't get all clammy.
Thirsty bastard.
Hi, I'm Craig. Welcome to episode 4 of Denied Shifts. This is Chris over here. Aha, I got it correct again. 2 weeks in a row, man. Chris is my co-host here and driver for Amplify and iRacing, also known as Tropical Punch, not Thunder.
Yo.
Punch.
Yo.
And making a special appearance right now is my dog, Duke. Hello, Duke. Oh.
Monetized just for that. Everyone likes to see dog.
Everyone loves a dog. How was your weekend? We got a lot to talk about when it comes to this weekend, but
I'm just going to skip the week. Just go right to the weekend.
it's like that.
The week is mundane. Let's get to the good stuff. Let's just jump right into the weekend where the good stuff happened.
We definitely got some good stuff to talk about. Our Amplify's last weekend of endurance racing for iRacing in our first year. Finished off Fuji 8 hours.
Our rookie season.
Yes, sir. Rookie season. We qualified 9th, worked our way up to 3rd in the first 2 hours. We had a server communication issue that took out our driver, which quickly dropped us outside the top 20. We're able to work our way up, get our lap back. I think we finished. Did we finish 1 lap down at least still?
Yeah.
I know at one point we were like 2 laps down.
I believe we made our way back up to being 1 lap down because I feel like there was more incidences that happened and we were able to stay out longer and we were able to get some laps back.
Yeah.
Because the leader
we
would
finished
hit
11th.
and we stayed out. So we finished 11th out of 41. Keep that in mind.
No crazy weather for this race. Just plenty of fog and cold temps to work on those tires. But it was still a good race. I mean, we were close to getting our 1 lap back. We didn't finish that far behind the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Like we kept going through the undercuts basically on our race strategy. So it worked out for us as well.
Yeah, that was. The end was harder. The second fog was harder just because it was colder and darker at that point.
Oh yeah.
But
it was hard for me to spot.
I would have taken that weather over rain any day. So I'm kind of happy it didn't rain. I was satisfied with just fog. I'll take it.
If it rained, if they did rain at Fuji, it would be a disaster. The lobby would be a mess.
Yep.
That track's the worst.
Yep. There would be way more wrecks, and there wouldn't be as many people that would have actually finished. I feel like a lot more people in our split finished the race than people who didn't finish.
Yeah.
But overall, finishing 11th in the points, because in a 41 car race, I believe 12th for that race was the cutoff for points. 12th was the cutoff. So we were able to stay within the points. So I think overall we're a midfield team from beginning of season to the end of season. We're a midfield endurance team, which is for a rookie season. I'm damn proud of us for a season like that. Yeah, I'll take that. That's great. That was our first experience too. Our first full season experience.
And you were the only driver that ran every race this season.
Yep, we skipped 2 because of timing conflicts.
Well,
one of them was Nürburgring 24 that we didn't do.
Oh, true.
We didn't do that, but we also skipped Spa 24, which I believe was due to scheduling. Like we didn't have the manpower to do it, and the schedule just didn't line up.
It was because you were getting married.
That wasn't that weekend. That was something else. No, that was Petit Le Mans. We missed the Petit Le Mans.
We did miss the Petit Le Mans because
so we missed 3 events. One was because of marriage. One was lack of manpower, and we need more time on Nürburgring to do a 24-hour run on that. We need a lot more track time on that.
Well, I mean, for all the events that we did do, you were the consistent driver for all of them. I only missed this last one, and then
I know, but you,
Justin,
your pit calls were just so good. This last one, everything was so smooth.
Thanks.
Like butter. No, seriously though, it was smooth like butter. And I honestly think without your calls for the undercut every time we pit, we would have been further back on the grid. I really think the pit calls you were making about with how when to pit, like what window to pit, is what really led to success. Not to discredit the driving of my cousin who was the co-driver who filled in for this race. Not to discredit, he did fantastic driving, but I think those pit calls when we dropped the connection after I jumped in the car after we got towed back to pit lane because of that connection loss, we were able to get some ground back, which was great. But I think those pit calls really kind of solidified we were going to finish within the points. And I knew that by the end of his 4-hour stint. So after I did that 1 hour and he finished his last, at that point, that's when I knew we were going to finish near the top end of the race because we would consistently fall back. Maybe after our pit stop, people would drop us to 15th, but then we would climb back up to 9th. Then we'd climb back up to, then we'd maybe fall back to 10th or 9th, and then bounce around between 9th, 10th, 11th, 9th, 10th, 11th for the duration of the race. And at that point, I knew we got into the points because of these undercuts. And I was like, yes, this is good.
To be transparent, that was part of the strategy from the start. Not the connection problem and going a lap down, a couple laps down and whatnot. But
yeah, that set the mood. I got really annoyed at that. And I know it's nothing he could have done. It was just like, why?
And it was so close to our pit window too. Like the window wasn't open yet. So it kind of forced us to pit it. I mean, the car was forced to pit early because he lost connection.
Towed. Yep, it was towed back to pit lane by force. Yep.
And it was like, I think we were just like a few laps out. So that means we were about, I think it was 8 minutes. We were 8 minutes out from our window. And that's when the connection loss happened. I was like, no way. I was like, it was kind of devastating. But you did the heavy load to get us back on the track. So as soon as you jumped in, I had you go longer on your stint. On that stint,
yeah, that was fine. Yeah,
and that got us back onto the strategy, the original strategy I had for us. And that strategy was more of an aggressive strategy. So people wondering, well, what did you do that strategy? What does that mean? That strategy was more so to be more aggressive in our pit stops and with the tires, because there was going to be a fall off with those tires after about 70, 75 laps is when there's a really huge fall off. And we saw that with teams that were going to lap 38, basically the end of their fuel run, which was like lap 38, 39. And we were pitting at 35. So that way 35, 35, 70. And we were staying within that tire range. In reality, like I think the tires started to like fall off within 68 because we would actually not pit for new tires. We would double stint our tires, which means in between we were getting shorter pit stops. Also, the amount of how long it takes to fill full of fuel was shorter because we're only going 35 laps, that we only needed a pit and a full tank was going to be 38 laps. So we still had 3 laps worth of fuel, which is roughly, what's that like
full tank was 29.5.
Like 3, yeah, but is that like 3 gallons left in the tank? Something like that, I think.
Roughly. It was enough for 2 or 3 laps extra, but yeah, like, no, our pit stops were 30 seconds. Within 30 seconds, under sub 40 seconds every time we stopped, even if it was just for fuel or full service, we were only in there for about 37 seconds at most, and we were out.
And it allowed you guys to stay more aggressive with the tires and with the lap times. We didn't have to have as much fall off, especially when you double stint the tires. We didn't have to worry about warming the tires up right after a pit stops. So only when we got fresh tires, we would have to worry about that. But otherwise, like it allowed us to stay aggressive with the times, and we didn't have to worry about falling off into the 42, 43 time slot, a minute 42 or minute 43 times.
Yeah, and
or even worse, some people going down to 44s and 45s. Like there was, I think the end of the race there was some major fall off.
There was like 46s, 47s.
It was getting scary towards the end. And the last pit stop I had you, and the last pit stop I had you get fresh tires. So it should have, and it was at the same time that stint was going to be 26 laps, I think, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, the calculations.
The last one,
yeah, it was short. It wasn't a full 35. Was it 30? No,
No,
it was like
it
26. It was the 20s.
when I pit, there was I think 20 to 15 minutes left in the session, and I was ahead. I would have been at the end of the race. We would have ended in 10th, but there was a 6-second gap to the guy behind me in 11th at the time. But he caught up, and I couldn't. He caught up with like 5 or so minutes left. I couldn't hold him off anymore after that, and then at the end of the race, I think someone in front of, because we were in 12th when he passed, because we went from 11th to 12th, but I think someone in 10th didn't serve a penalty, because at the end of the race, we got bumped up to 11th and he got bumped up to 10th, which means that if I finished where he finished under the same conditions, we would have been in top 10 if I was able to hold him off just for that 5 more minutes. It was kind of like the trench run of the Death Star. Hold him off for a few seconds kind of thing.
Oh, I did
almost there.
I did pit you short for sure. And I didn't even fuel you for the entire rest of that run. So it was like, I think it was a 26, 25 lap stint at the end.
Short. Yeah, it was shorter.
I didn't give you full tank, so it was shorter fuel run, but I did give you fresh tires. And I was like, have at it, basically. Like, once you get those tires warm, go as fast as you can, as hard as you want, because it's a short stint. Yeah, it was a short stint, and just go for it.
I think I was averaging 0.68 every lap for fuel. I was pushing that car. And then, in fact, I think at one point when I spun, my wheel snapped during the spin and it actually hurt my shoulder. So I was driving the rest of the race with a really sore shoulder. I was like, So turning was painful. And at the end of the race, I was like, I was stiff for like a day or two after, but I'm good now. But yeah, no, my shoulder was hurt for the last part of the race.
You definitely got to practice that reaction of letting go of the wheel as soon as you spin.
Well, the wheel doesn't snap that hard, but when it spun, I think it turned. I tried to counter it, and then I was like, all right. I let it go at that point. I was just like, all right, ow. My shoulder. I'm not fighting that, but it doesn't snap that hard where it's like going to break your wrists.
It's an IndyCar and sports car thing. Like you let, even go-karting, you let go of the wheel. As soon as you start spinning, you let go of the wheel, and then you control it with your feet basically. But at the same time, you don't want to grab that wheel because it'll jerk your shoulders or your wrists and everything else. But yeah, it was a good race. It wasn't bad.
Pretty good.
So now we're looking forward to 2025 with Daytona 24 and
the Roar.
Yeah, the Roar.
But speaking of driver skill and Miatas, this has a very poor transition into our upcoming race weekend in Vegas for Formula One. And Max was caught driving IndyCar and prototype.
I don't think this was a bad transition because when you're talking about driver skill, there's no other better person than Max Verstappen right now.
Yep, and he's been dipping his Dutch toes in the water in hypercar and IndyCar. And he seems to be talking about Daytona now, wanting to do Daytona.
3 years. We just have to wait 3 more years, according to him. So in an interview with Fred Smith on Road and Track, he said, I know I want to do Daytona in the future. He has specifically said that. He even said he has 3 more years left in his contract at age 31. And he wants to do Daytona, Le Mans, and sports car racing in general. He wants to do IMSA, basically. IMSA.
I know he's wanted to do Le Mans. That I know he's bent on doing.
Yep.
Before this, but yeah.
He wants to do more of that stuff because it also gives him more time to spend with his family, because the schedule with Formula One is grueling. It's a lot longer because, yes, they still got 3 more weeks. We're going to be racing Formula One well into December before the Christmas break, basically.
They talked about expanding the schedule too, didn't they, after this? Yeah, so they're adding more on more.
Which is fine if they didn't take all these breaks. The Formula One's problem is they have all these freaking breaks in between races, or they have the big giant summer break, which is not needed. Their season would be super short if they didn't take all those breaks. I understand the travel time, totally understand that, and transporting equipment across nation borders and around the world and everything else, and they need some time to logistically move some certain stuff to certain locations and have some other stuff staged somewhere else and whatnot. I get that, and that's why there is a little bit of those breaks. But when you're talking about like you had the summer break, which was like what 5 weeks, they had another break just before this Vegas one for 2 weeks,
which wasn't. Yep.
Another one in
Another 2
September
weeks.
that was like 3 weeks, I think it was. Like, yeah, there's just way too many breaks, basically.
And you're drawing it out. Like all the other formats are like done and testing for next season, and Formula is still like, we got 3 more races of this.
Yeah, at least like they're consistently on their weeks, right? And this, I mean, this goes back to that conversation where we had with WEC before. Remember how we talked about, I think it was what, episode 1 or 2, where we talked about WEC schedule just being overly extended, where it's like you had 1 to 2 month break between races.
It was episode 1 because I was like, I kind of stopped watching the WEC just because of the schedule being drawn out. It's like you kind of just forget when they're racing. It's like, here's the schedule for the season. Well, that's great. You'll watch the first few races, and then after that, you're like, well, I have other things to do in this break. And then by the time the race comes around, you forgot about it. You're like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah. And you forget who to cheer for, basically.
Yeah, you're like, well, who's winning again?
Yeah,
but
who's doing well in the championship?
Yeah, IMSA, they're way more consistent, but it's still like a short, sweet, to the point. This is the season. You either watch it or you don't. It is what it is. So that's why I can follow IMSA more, because the schedule isn't a 2-month break.
And I get it. It's easier for IMSA because it's domesticated. I guess the best word I can think of right now. Like it's regional. Yeah, it's regional domestic versus international. International is harder on scheduling and logistics, but I don't know, man. Like,
oh no, it sounds like Formula One's shaping their schedule next year with Monaco so that drivers can do IndyCar and stuff now. But it's like, all right.
thoughts on moving it a week after Memorial off the traditional date?
What, for Monaco?
Yeah,
I think Monaco's a boring race to begin with. It's literally just a show pony race that the race happens in qualifying. So once you watch qualifying, whoever gets pole there's the winner of the race. All right, cool.
What about moving it a week later off its original date?
Doesn't change anything for me. I still think Monaco is just to be removed from the calendar. Period. Yeah. It is boring.
It is sucks. It does suck for like the greatest day in racing where you had NASCAR, IndyCar, and Formula One all on the same day. But
I would rather watch IndyCar. I think I actually watched the Indy 500 over that.
I would love to see Formula One shake up the schedule enough to where they put another race on that date than Monaco and actually make it a marketing spectacle where you had an actual good race for Formula One on Memorial Weekend in the morning. Then you go to IndyCar, Indy 500, and then we finish off the day or basically into the night with NASCAR's Coke 600. But I don't know what race you would put to replace Monaco in that place, because Monaco's a crown jewel. You would need another crown jewel to replace it. And what would be the other crown jewel? Silverstone?
I'd rather have nothing. I'd rather listen. The American fans ain't going to watch F1 on that day because Indy. No one watching F1. Indy.
I don't believe that because the way the timing works on that day, when Formula One ends, the broadcast for Indy basically starts. It's so seamlessly smooth through that part of the day that I don't think you're talking about American fans not watching. I just think they need another race that's more exciting than Monaco. You need another crown jewel.
Remove it and shorten the schedule and stop extending the schedule and having all these. But let that be a break. There you go. Get rid of Monaco. You have a break. There's your break right there.
Well, unfortunately, we have to see Monaco till 2036. So they extended the contract.
Listen, I'll watch Monaco until Max leaves, and then I don't have to watch Monaco ever again. Because I want to follow Max into endurance racing or IndyCar, whichever he so chooses to go to once he's fulfilled his contract in Formula One.
Well, whoever your favorite driver is, whether it's Max or maybe you happen to be a Lance Stroll fan. I know that's a random driver I just picked out of my straw hat there. We got 3 more races left, and this is the last 3-week triple header basically for them, starting with Vegas this weekend. then we go to Bahrain and Abu Dhabi to finish off the season and crown the champion.
Champion will be crowned in Vegas. That's where it's going to end.
Officially crown the champion in Abu Dhabi with this trophy and everything. He'll clinch the championship in Vegas, but they actually do the crowning in Abu Dhabi. The race is on Saturday at 10 p.m. Pacific time. I think
it's a night race. It's going to be a cold track.
I think I have it correct. It's 10 p.m. Pacific time, if I remember correctly. It's not a fun schedule. I think broadcast for us starts at like 9 o'clock and whatnot. It's going to be
broadcast for me then.
Midnight.
No. So you're 3 hours behind East, right? So you said it starts at 10 on your schedule, right?
So that'd be 1 a.m. for you.
So you guys are behind us. Oh, right. We're ahead. So that would be
you got to add 3 hours. Yeah.
Which means, but hey, listen, what that means is that I get to watch said race from my rig in my comfy chair with my monitor.
And then you just sleep the whole day Sunday.
Yeah, pretty much. I could just put back the seat and be like, let's watch. Now, yeah. So if Max, I don't know what position he needs, but if he does well in the Vegas race, he's basically clinched the championship. It's basically decided he's going to be the champion. And then the last 2 races are just formalities and procedural events that will occur. And he will, like Craig said, he will get the trophy and the crown ceremony of 4-time world champion in Abu Dhabi. But if he does well in Vegas, he's essentially the 4-time world champion, Formula One, Max Verstappen, the Flying Dutchman, is what it is. Love it.
Thoughts on the Vegas race, though? Love it, hate it. What do you think about the track?
Hate it. I'll watch it, but I hate it. It's a street race. I think all street races are boring. All street races are boring in Formula One.
Melbourne? Singapore?
Melbourne? Boring.
Those are all street courses.
Boring. I skipped the street courses except for Vegas because it's America.
Miami? Oh, yeah, Miami.
Yeah. You about to be like, what about Miami? No, Miami? Also boring.
All the European tracks are purpose-built tracks.
I like the purpose-built tracks, although I feel like a lot of people are like, you take your boy. I like races that are decided on the track and not in qualifying. That's just me.
What else? Street course? There's a lot of street courses this past year because it's Melbourne,
Vegas, Monaco, Singapore,
Melbourne, Australia.
That's 4.
There's another one.
Is there? Because China is a purpose-built track.
I forgot we went to China this year.
Mm-hmm. Suzuka is purpose-built.
Hold on.
Coda's purpose-built. Also, yeah, I got to talk to you about Coda. I want to know what your thoughts are on the NASCAR modified Coda track next year. The modified circuit.
That was announced today too. I was like, oh fudge. Like
I want to know what your thoughts are.
The amount of things that came out today for motorsports in general, I was like, I don't think we have enough time in our script for this.
We're on the cutting edge. We're on the edge. We get all the news when the news happens because we are on X scrolling and looking for the latest and greatest. But yeah, I want to talk about that because I want to know what your thoughts are on the modified track for NASCAR's race there.
Oh, Saudi Arabia is a street course.
Is it?
Yes, remember it's a street course. It's held on the streets by the beach in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, all right. So that's 5.
I don't think we're done. I know there's another one. Canada is a hybrid.
I'm not going to count that. I'm like dedicated street.
Actually, Canada is because it uses the park. It's like Australia. They have a part like in Vegas. Like they have a part that they purposely built, but the majority of it is street. This is nope. Hungary's not one. Belgium's not one. Netherlands? No, Zandvoort is not, right?
Zandvoort's purpose-built track.
Azerbaijan. That is also street course. That's the one that goes around the castle.
Oh, yep, that is.
That's Baku. Yeah. How many you got there?
Oh, there we go. 7.
7. I don't know if you would consider Mexico.
I wouldn't.
Because
I feel like Mexico is a purpose-built circuit. You don't go through a town or a city or a park. You're going through a track. That's a track. Wouldn't consider Mexico one.
So
I'm going to say 6. I'm going to say 6.5 for Canada. I'm going to give Canada like the half. I'm giving Canada a half one. I'm not going to call it a full one. So 6.5 tracks that are street races that are all decided by qualifying because the cars are so damn wide that you need to send smoke signals from one side of the car to the other because they're just freaking boats. So I will watch the Vegas one because this is the second year they're running it at Vegas, because last year was the first year at Vegas. 2023 was the first year that Vegas opened. So I watched it because it was the grand opening. So I'm going to watch it again this year. But for a majority of those races you listed, I did watch Baku. I watched Baku this year. I skipped all but Baku, and no, I did watch Singapore. So I skipped all but Singapore, Baku, and Vegas, which I will watch this weekend. So I skipped 4 of the 7 just because I don't find street tracks in Formula One interesting. I find street tracks in endurance racing or IMSA far more interesting because there's actually overtakes.
Canada is a street course. It takes place in a park. That's technically a park when nothing's racing there.
Canada. Cool. So I skipped Canada.
So it's 7. There's 7 out of how many races are in Formula One?
There is 24 races this season, and 7 of them are street tracks.
Almost half. And they're planning to add more.
Half.
Almost
24. 24 races.
I know. I'm saying
7.
Basically, 12. We're not that far off from 12. They just need
but we're not at 12.
No.
We're at 7.
That's why I said almost. We're arguing about almost here.
Oh, yeah. We're going to split hairs here. I'm petty. I think they're talking about expanding that to 26 races in the coming years for Formula One. I think 26 is something that they talked about.
Yeah, they're talking. What I heard is it San Diego is what they're talking about. I know NASCAR's talking to San Diego as well. Chicago. Formula One's talking about the track that NASCAR uses for Chicago, about using it for themselves as well. And then I think there's another place they're talking about. Oh, don't tell me.
No. So for the next 2 years, 2024, 2025, they're planning on having a 24 race calendar. I don't know if it might have been silly season that was talking about 26 races in a season.
It was silly season.
But I do know that Max is not keen on them adding any more. I feel like none of the drivers are even keen on having them add any more to the calendar because they already think it's too much.
And yeah, they would not last in NASCAR or anywhere else that races back to back for 36 weeks.
No, but
actually take that back, 38 weeks.
But
39 weeks.
Yeah, but for me, I don't tend to pay attention to street racing because all of it is you watch qualifying, and at that point you know who the winner is. And if that winner crashes, then guy in second wins.
I don't know. Like, at least Saudi Arabia offers passing opportunities. Melbourne offers passing opportunities. Canada offers passing opportunities. Singapore. I can't say the same for when it comes to some of these other tracks like Vegas and whatnot that are just very DRS heavy.
Yeah, no. Also, get rid of DRS. That's so annoying.
Yep.
Artificial overtake.
But all right, well, we hate Vegas.
Here we are. I don't hate it. I mean, I don't like it, but I don't hate it. I'll watch it. It's American GP.
It's Vegas under the strip under the lights.
I just really wish that the people who operate the dome in Vegas took the words of the internet people and just put like blown up faces of everybody and stuff on the dome. But I think there was like a rule last year that they couldn't use a certain colors on the dome as to like because the drivers can see the dome, they couldn't use certain colors as to be like, oh, there's a yellow flag. They couldn't use yellow. They couldn't use a bunch of colors to prevent confusion.
Yeah.
So, but I'll tell you what's even more confusing than the colors of the dome. The Tyson and Paul, Tyson versus Paul. That's confusing. In fact, it's infuriating. Neither of us called this fight correctly. However, I did call 2.5 cards of this. The half card was a draw, so that's the half. But I called 2 of the cards correctly at round 2 before they went the distance. And the only one I got wrong was the one that everyone in the world tuned in for to watch. And it was an absolute disgrace. Jake Paul should be ashamed. Mike Tyson sold his legacy for $20 million. Jake Paul walked away with $40 million. And now Jake Paul thinks he's the best boxer in the world because he threw a couple jabs at a 58-year-old boxer and goes, I want to start taking on people that are younger than me. Like, I think he even asked Conor McGregor to fight him, but that's not going to happen because Conor McGregor is under contract, I think, with the UFC, and they are very limited to who they can fight outside of it. And the contract would actually have to be expired for him to be able to fight outside of the UFC. My supervisor is big into MMA, and his brother and people he knows are actually in UFC. And he kind of explained to me how it kind of works with the contracts.
Yep.
And you couldn't do it. But yeah, Jake Paul thinks he's King Turd on Shit Mountain for beating up a 58-year-old. But I will say the memes following this fight have been absolutely legendary.
Have you seen some of the stills where Mike Tyson could have knocked him out?
Yes. He pulled his punches. Yep.
Yep.
While I was watching the fight, I saw him pull back a lot of punches, and I was screaming at the TV going, why didn't you throw the punch? I was screaming at the TV at Mike because I would see him start to go. He'd start to go, but then he'd be like, script.
Yep.
And apparently the script of the fight was actually leaked the day after the fight. Someone actually leaked the script and people were like reading it, and it literally went to the T of how that night went. Mike comes, and like when the bell rang on round 1, I saw Mike go right after Jake. I was like, oh, we're gonna get it. Mike's gonna kill this kid. And then, but in the script that was leaked, that was literally the first round. That's to the T. Mike's gonna look like he comes out quick and strong. And it happened. So the whole world is upset that this fight even took place because everyone stayed up till 1 a.m. for this fight to end. And it was, as I have feared, the Pacquiao Mayweather fight, but it wasn't hugging. It was just a staring contest.
That's true.
It was this. That's it. That was the fight. It was literally like an episode of Dragon Ball Z where they just stare at each other and they go, ugh, ugh, and it's just that the whole episode.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, and then the last episode is they actually fight. Yeah, no, it's like intro to villain, grunting. Fight.
It might explain why Mike Tyson constantly was biting his glove. I mean, yeah, he has this biting fetish thing that he goes through, but I think it was a little more aggressive this time because he wants to hit him, but couldn't.
Yeah, it was like apparently it's like a tick, like
which we know he does. He has this tick. It's this fixation of like wanting to bite his glove. He does this all the time in fights, but it was like a more aggressive this time, and I think it has to do with that. Like he couldn't swing like he wants to.
I could see that there was a perfect chance, multiple windows of opportunity for him to absolutely decapitate Paul, but he just pulled the punch. I was like, So yeah, what were your thoughts? I thought literally even the first card, as shitty as it was better than their fight.
Oh yeah, I think that was really it. I think all the fights went really well. The one that was a draw,
I thought that one was a good one.
That was a really good between the two Mexican fighters,
Mario and
I'm forgetting their names right now.
Ramos. I know the fighter that I picked to win was Ramos, and Mario was the defending champion, but it ended in a split draw. Ramos was gaining ground in the middle, and then at the end, it kind of just ended up being a draw.
Yeah.
By a split decision, which was crazy. But I had Ramos to win that fight. I was like, I was yelling at the TV trying to coach him.
The women's one, even though my pick won.
I thought you picked Amanda. I picked Katie.
No, I picked Katie as well. I just did not feel comfortable. I told you this though. I did not feel comfortable with the results. I think they were controversial for sure.
Everyone was uncomfortable with the choice because of the headbutt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like looking at it, like at the fight, they both were going at each other with each other's heads because it felt like, it became more of an MMA fight than a boxing match for both of them.
But it was all Katie doing it. Amanda didn't do any of that. She was trying to box, and Katie was trying to headbutt and turn into an MMA fight. Which, even if she did turn into an MMA fight, she would have lost the MMA fight.
Yeah, well, I think Amanda also, like, because there was that moment where Amanda and her, they both leaned in at the same time with their heads, and that's where that big contact happened. But Amanda was also like, she was leaning in. And I think that was just naturally for her from MMA fighting, naturally leaning her head in. Versus in boxing, you don't want to, obviously for obvious reasons, as what we saw what happened, you don't want to lean your head in.
It was still a controversial call. And I told Craig that night over Discord, via messaging in Discord, that she outpunched a point reduction, which means she's throwing punches to see what sticks. Amanda was throwing more precise strikes. But the way to look at it was Amanda was the quality. Amanda was quality of the punch. Katie was, how many can I get that I can just outscore a point deduction?
But even then, if you look at the stats, the points shouldn't have added up that way, because even though Amanda was throwing quality, most of her punches were landing, so she had a higher percent. She still had a higher percentage of contact made or hits made than Katie did. And Katie, even though she threw more punches, majority of them just were not landing at all. It wasn't. To me, it didn't add up at the same time with the scorecards. And
it looked like she was just flailing. That's what it looked like to me. Katie was just flailing her arms around.
Yep.
Until, she really put her head in the game. If you know what I'm saying there, Katie. She put her head in the game.
But yeah, I mean, everything was great about that night until we got to the Tyson Paul. I think Tyson Paul, at the start, I was hyped up and I saw Tyson go for it, start shuffling his feet really fast. I was like, oh, here we go. Let's go. This is what we expected. And it was a big letdown after round 2. And I was like, man, like it felt like that entire night got deflated super fast for me.
Also,
I started tuning out really quick within like round 3, round 4.
Well, don't worry. Most of America tuned out at one point because the Netflix servers that were supposed to host such a fight, I couldn't handle all the damn traffic. And we were watching the fight in, what was it, 244p? Oh, look at the pixels.
I was watching
pixel boxing.
I was watching it delayed because remember I was telling you, like, you're ahead of me. Like, even before the fight started, I was already having issues. And I was like, oh, here we go. I thought it was my internet, and it was like,
that's what I thought. I was so self-conscious. I restarted my router. I restarted the Google TV device. And I'm like, why is it still pixelated? And I put it up on my phone. It got pixelated on the phone. And I was like, I'm on data. I'm not on the internet. I'm on data. It's still pixelated. And then it crashed on my phone. And then after like 10 minutes of trying to configure whatever, majigger everything, and bing, bang, and oh, God. It came back. And then I was telling him this. I'm like, and when you said it was like you were having issues with like the image quality, I was like, I'm not alone. And then the next day I go on social media and everyone's complaining and making jokes about the servers, about like how they all watched a pixelated fight. I'm like, wasn't me. We're good.
I thought it was me. I thought it was our internet because it kept buffering, and I was like, I restarted our Apple TV. Dude, I even restarted our router and everything. None of that fixed it. When I get back to it, it started buffering more, and I was like, this is weird. What the heck's going on? And then
could
you
hear the
told me that, and
TV
I was like, oh,
I,
okay.
I
Yeah,
could hear the TV upstairs. My wife was watching TV and she watches stuff through live streaming. And there was no stoppage of her show when
yep.
Netflix was buffering. And then that's when I started to figure out, wait a minute, it's not our internet, because she'd be having issues too. And she would have been like, babe, the internet's broken. But she didn't. So Netflix, way to go for making me feel like it was my network setup when it was just your absolutely from Temu servers that couldn't handle the traffic.
Well, let's hope they fix it before Christmas, because they're hosting the NFL on Christmas. This was Netflix's first live sporting event, right? So I give it to Netflix. Like, this was their test to figure out their networks and their systems on how to host a live sporting event on one. Basically, we're talking about like everybody viewing it through one. What is it? Not channel, but one bridge. I don't know. I can't think of the word. But yeah, they're using one service basically to view this event, versus like if it was on a television, then it'd be on Spectrum, YouTube TV. What's the other ones? Dish Network. You'd have your multitudes that could handle the different loads and whatnot, right? They would never hit the max load. This is all feeding straight into Netflix. And we're gonna have the NFL during Christmas during that time, so let's hope they get it fixed then.
You would think, with all the money they've made, with all the prices they've raised over the years, you would think that they had the money and the tech and the resources to actually have a good server system for something like this, but they absolutely dropped the ball. So if they don't fix their shit if they have such a bold move to host the NFL, if they don't fix their shit by that game, people in sports betting will be watching a what was it? I don't know, maybe a 1x1 pixel football being kicked through a 4x4 pixel field goal and not be able to tell what the hell's going on. Because damn it, it's like everyone has a 4K, 8K TV. We want to see this in crisp definition, my friend. We want to see the crisp image. But instead, we literally get a Cops episode where they censor everybody out. That's what we were getting. So Netflix, fix your shit. What do I pay you for? Fix your shit.
You know what? I'm sure they will, because this is the first time. And at the same time, like, we're not just talking about like the people locally watching. This is worldwide. It was the largest viewed international sporting event. It broke the records for sure. And so this is the first time for everyone, not just Netflix, but for everybody in the industry as a whole. So yeah, I mean, hey, let's hope Netflix fixes it for NFL. It sounds like, according to Jerry Jones, the way he's talking about it is maybe we'll see the NFL exclusively on Netflix. Who knows?
Jerry Jones. There was a meme where there was someone made like a verified Jerry Jones Twitter account. I don't know. I forget the season, and I think it was when they played the Eagles or when the Cowboys lost something really bad. He was just like, anybody who has a Cowboys jersey, please show up to practice tomorrow.
Basically, this past season.
Yeah. That's the meme that sticks in my head when I hear the name Jerry Jones.
Especially after they just lost to Houston this week. At home. Oh, by the way, have you noticed? Have you looked at the NFL record for the Dallas Cowboys this year? They haven't won a game at home yet this year. They're 0-5 now at home.
I would just hate to be a Dallas Cowboys fan right now. My God, people literally walked into your house and dragged their muddy shoes across your carpet, and you've done nothing about it.
5 games.
Just imagine five different people coming into your house with dirty shoes and just dragging it all over your clean carpets and jumping on your furniture, consuming the food and sustenance from your fridge, and then leaving after giving you a black eye, punching you on the way out. Man, I would hate to be a Cowboys fan. I think, what was it? Sketch and Tim the Tat Man had like a Madden Houston versus Cowboys, and Sketch was dogging on Tim the Tat Man with the Texans. So
Tim had to put on his video for YouTube and his stream announcement, the image, he had to put himself in a cowboy uniform with a clown face. He had no choice at that point. So, I mean, I don't think he did it. I think his mods did it, but still.
Yeah, I Cowboys fans, excuse me, loudest in the room. They're loudest in the room for both things. When they win and when they lose, they cry the hardest, and then they get in your face the hardest when they win.
Hey, you know what's best about that analogy you said about the house though was the fact that the building or the roof was dropping pieces of metal. Basically, the roof was falling apart.
Yeah, when before
when the game
Cowboys
started, their home was already falling apart after 0-4 and then 0-5 now.
Listen, even the stadium gave up on their team. The fans did, and even the building's like, who cares? At this point, dropping metal may help give you an advantage.
Oh, this season is so much memes when it comes to them. They lost to the Eagles while playing with the sun setting and the sun literally in their eyes because of the way the stadium's built and that direction, that open space is at.
So we have Sungate, got it. Sungate. And then we have a structural collapse, Roofgate. We'll think of anything.
Dak Prescott is out for the season again. We got another
stub his toe.
Another hamstring gate. No, his hamstring detached itself from his.
Oh no. You
know how there's 3 and one of them detached.
Mm-hmm. No.
That's why he's out for the season.
Oh God, no.
And it happened last game. I don't know if you saw the video of it.
I didn't. I don't even want to watch it. It's making my back tingle just thinking about the pain of that happen. I can't.
Watching him limp off the field, like I feel for him in that regard.
Yeah.
As a person, I feel for him. Right? But this is the Cowboys season, literally. Like the Cowboy seasons like that, hamstring being detached, roof falling apart, sun in their eyes, and can't make the catch in the end zone because the sun is literally blinding you in the eyes because you're playing the game at sunset.
The pH in their water bottles is just off.
Like
the pH gate.
Everything about the Cowboy season is a disaster.
I just want to know who made them America's team because I don't think they're America's team. I think that they're literally like propaganda team.
Oh, I think we need to ask Jimmy Johnson about that one.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson. This is America's team.
That's propaganda. That's communist propaganda. They are not America's team. They keep losing.
Oh man, they haven't been the same since Troy Aikman. I guess
I feel for Prescott with that injury, though. I feel for that. I can't.
Just how many injuries has he had in his career now, though? Like
a lot, but I've had a Charlie horse that is probably like 1,000 times, like 1,000,000 times worse. Just having something just detach.
Yeah, and I heard it detached from the top. So,
that's what I was hoping you would.
Yeah, that means it's basically from that hip bone or that joint there to the hip bone down, or it fell down.
I wish him a speedy recovery with that one. That's anything with a muscle detaching is just there's a lot of nope for me. I've seen workout videos and bodybuilders where their pec detaches itself, and I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't
muscles moving in a way that it shouldn't have moved or like just relocate itself. Yeah, no. And that's painful. I know it's painful.
Nope, just too much nope.
Yeah.
But so thanks for sticking with us with this one. We had that Cowboys rant. What felt to be a very quick paced segue into things. But leave your thoughts on all of our takes in the comment section below. Let us know what you think about, if you follow racing, let us know what you think about Max trying out prototypes in Indy cars. What are your thoughts? Do you think he has a future in IndyCar, or do you think he has a future in endurance racing? I feel like he has a future in both because he wants to do it all because he's addicted to driving. And then also leave us comments what you thought about the Tyson and Paul fight too. I would actually like to hear others' takes on the fight itself and what they got from it. Because I feel like just the general consensus has been what our opinions were. But if you have a differing opinion, I would love to hear it. I would love to see that opinion.
Yeah, last thing. Hey, predictions. Vegas, who you got? 1, 2, 3. You going Max Ferraris? You got McLarens in there?
I think I have a McLaren in there. I think I have to put a McLaren up in there now. Let's see.
Do you got Alpine in there?
No.
Second week in a
let's
row.
see.
After that, they're between Red Bull and Alpine. We're memeing on the internet. Let's do it for another week. But
I don't want to give the same three guesses. I don't know what Max has to place at minimum to clinch it.
I think he needs to finish 8 or
Did it-
better.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be very high. I'm gonna throw Max in first, Lando third, and Leclerc second. I definitely think we can see a lot out of Leclerc in Vegas. So I think my prediction is Max 1, Leclerc 2, Norris third.
Oh, so we're going Leclerc second and Lando's third instead.
Yeah, because
Sorry.
I definitely don't think McLaren is going to be a midfield car because their car has pace.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to do really well in qualifying. But I think just to rub it in, I think Red Bull really has to like get on the podium or be on pole to really like stick it to them.
I'm gonna say Carlos Sainz first. I feel like I'd be crazy if I don't include Max.
I feel like he's going to be on the podium somewhere. He's got to be somewhere. I'm just going first for my guess, but I feel like he could be anywhere between third and second too.
I want to throw a wild card in there because I feel like a wild card's going to happen this weekend.
Franco Colapinto from the back.
I don't know if it'll be Alpine. I don't know. Maybe Fernando. I
don't think this year. Not this year.
My other choice is Haas.
I knew it. I was hoping you would say your wild card pick is Haas because Toyota.
Well, the way they've been performing lately.
That is true.
True. And not even just them. Sauber as well all of a sudden is performing.
I think Haas is a better wild card.
Haas is the better wild card though, but
they're a stronger wild card.
And then at the same time, who do you pick between them? Do you pick Hulkenberg or do you pick I'm blanking right now.
Magnussen?
Yeah, Magnussen.
I would say Magnussen. No. No, wait.
Last week, Magnussen beat Hulkenberg, though.
No, I need to see the faces real quick.
Because didn't Hulkenberg crash out last week? Or not last week, the race before?
All right, so that's Nico Hulkenberg. Okay, so I got his face. Okay, now I need Hulkenberg.
He's picking by face. He's picking by faces.
Hulkenberg. I got Hulkenberg, not Magnussen. I got Hulkenberg.
And that's why, like, I don't know who. Like, I know I got Carlos Sainz 1. I know I'm gonna pick him for first. I'm kind of hard pressed to include Max into the top 3 because I feel like it's gonna be a wild card. Like, I'm gonna have someone like a Haas Hulkenberg in the podium.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, finally he gets the podium. But then like I can't like I can't even like
I feel like you're looking into it. I think you're looking into the
McLarens.
I feel like you're looking into Alpine's success when the great equalizer of rain happens. You're looking too much into that success.
Oh no,
for a wild card.
Yeah, that one was just like another one of those meme issues. My thing with Vegas, because the way that street course is and what we're kind of expecting going into this weekend, I'm expecting someone from left field to podium that we would not normally expect. I'm expecting Max to finish 4th.
He's the only one that's won at that track.
We've only ran it once.
But he's the only one that's won.
We've only ran it once, and him and Checo. It's been him, Checo, and Leclerc on the podium.
That's why I think Leclerc is going to be on the podium. That's why I think he's going to be second because he had a podium finish there.
I'm going to say Checo second. You know what? I'm just going to just play with it for this week. Let's go wild with it. Carlos, Checo, Hulkenberg. Yeah, I know. If I'm playing fantasy, this is the worst lineup ever.
All right, fine. I'm gonna get one name up in there. Max first. I'm gonna change my fine. We're not fun with it. Fine. Screw it. Throwing it out the window. We got this, boys. Max is my P1 for second and third. I got second for Valtteri Bottas and Fernando Alonso third. Done. Lock it in. Max first. Valtteri second. Fernando third. Sigma Lonzo. Daddy Lonzo.
You know,
Daddy Fernando.
I'm just gonna keep your original picks on here just in case.
I don't want
Well,
to
just for giggles.
Screw Leclerc, screw Lando. I'm going wild, baby. I'm going mullet man with the pet reindeer. He's definitely getting a podium this weekend.
I'm
gonna
imagine
miss
he
him.
doesn't get it, and it's Zhao that actually gets it.
That'd be disgusting.
That would be the wild take on this whole weekend.
I'm gonna miss him so much. I think,
Or surprise, surprise, Lance Stroll all of a sudden in podiums.
we have entered the fifth dimension of window licking.
No, he surpassed window licking by freaking making the podium. What do you mean?
But I mean, Valtteri got 13th in the last race.
It was Brazil.
What if Russell gets up there?
Dude,
See, now you got me thinking about Russell.
it's hard not. That's why I was saying it's hard not to pick the Mercedes and McLarens at street courses this year, and Ferraris. Between those three, Red Bull has been inconsistent on street courses. That's why I don't feel like it's gonna be a Max. If there is one that showed light on a street course, it was Checo.
Listen, the only winner at
Checo
Vegas
was going to get was about to get second without that contact between him and Carlos Sainz at Baku.
But the only person that has won at Vegas is Max, so he
That's
knows how
Vegas.
to win.
That's Vegas.
How to win Vegas.
But I'm taking the season as a whole and everybody's momentum and how they're performing, as well as like on street courses especially.
I'm going off the season as a whole. Max is crowned the world driver champion in Vegas. The end. He wins again. Hell yeah.
I just think we're looking at Carlos Sainz taking another win and walking away from Ferrari a winner, basically in their face.
To be fair, he already can walk away from Ferrari a winner. He's already had more podiums, I think, than Leclerc this season.
Yep.
He can already walk away a winner. He can finish second and third and still walk away a winner and be like,
you guys screwed up.
Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely. That's why I still think, like, when he made that comment from his last win, I think there were still more wins in the bag because he knows the schedule coming up.
I think he's going to win in the last two. I think he's going to get another win within the last two races.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's going to get a win. He's going to get another. He's going to get another one before these last three races. He's going to get a win in one of these three races before this season's over, just to stick it up Ferrari's ass on his way out the door.
I kind of give the last two races to Red Bull.
Max, of course.
I think it's a fight. Yeah, I think it's a fight between the Red Bull, Mercedes, and McLaren in those last three races. I don't think you're going to see Ferrari in those. Those are purpose-built tracks, and I don't think Ferrari's been that good in the desert. I mean, then again, it's been almost a whole year since we've been back out in the Middle Eastern desert. So
and
maybe
their
Ferrari
car has been getting faster.
Right. So then, once again, Haas, because they're basically coming out of the same development.
Okay, fine. Then, Haas. Well, we're not predicting the last two races. We're predicting Vegas. And we all can agree that Fernando Alonso will get a podium. Valtteri will get second. And Max will get first, clinching and ending the World Drivers' Championship for 2024, being the champion that he is, the degenerate gamer that he is for the fourth time in his career. Absolutely. And if Valtteri gets a podium, I really hope he brings his reindeer. I love the fact that he owns a reindeer, and I can't get over the fact that he owns a reindeer. I absolutely love it.
But both of us do pick, or do you think Max is going to lock up the championship this weekend?
Yes.
So, I mean, even if I don't have him in my top 3, I think he's still going to be either 4th or something, and he wins the championship this weekend.
He has to beat Norris in Vegas. He has to be ahead of Norris, I think, at any point in the race in Vegas to win it.
But within the points.
Yes.
Because the top 10 get points anyways.
If neither driver scores points, Verstappen is the champion.
Really?
Says this means he can clinch the title in a number of ways in Vegas. If he finishes ahead of Norris and both drivers score points, he's the champion. If neither driver scores points, he's the champion. And even if Norris finishes as high as 4th without scoring the fastest lap of the race, Max is still the champion if he finishes 1 spot behind him. Those are the ways he wins. He's got 3 different ways to win in Vegas, and they're all involve Norris. He's got to be 1 position behind him, neither driver scores, or Max is ahead of him by 1 position, and he wins. Doesn't matter.
We both have Max winning the championship this weekend, so...
Yeah, so it's as good as he has himself in such a position that it doesn't matter as long as he's 1 position behind him, 1 position ahead of him, or neither of them score. He wins. Love it. That's all I got.
Well, that's our picks for this week. Other than that, Amplify starts its playoffs week as of tonight. More breaking news for you guys. As if there wasn't any other breaking news or news come out today. Amplify Gaming clinches a playoff spot in Face It League for Overwatch. So we start our playoff run this week and are qualifying for Masters Division.
Yeah,
the team looks good. I think they are going to put up a challenge for those top positioning. Hopefully for your Expert Division Championship. Obviously, that's what we all hope for, strive for, is to win a championship. So, good luck to the boys. Of course, we're going to be rooting you guys on. It's going to be going on for the next 3 weeks as playoffs. But we'll be cheering you guys on. Thanks for staying with us, guys, again, through this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Also, don't forget, like Chris said earlier, don't forget to subscribe and hit like on the channel. Or like on this video as well, and then turn on that bell so that way you never miss a notification when we have a new episode up. You can also follow us on social media, again, where you could interact with us and discuss all these things. You could either post in the comments below, we'll respond to you there, or shoot us basically a ping or whatnot on social media. You can find all of our links to our individual channels as well as Amplify Gaming's socials in the description below. Until then, this has been Denied Shifts, and we'll see you next week for episode 5. See y'all.
See y'all. Live long and prosper.